Let's go across to Dakota Wood first for a perspective from Washington, D.C. on whether at this moment Nancy Pelosi will indeed go ahead with her trip to Taiwan, slated sometime next month. And if this does, is Washington ready for war?
Well, her office has not yet confirmed or denied the trip. So there is this rumor in Washington, D.C. that she will lead a U.S. congressional delegation. The makeup of that has not been explained. But everybody is kind of ambiguous in Washington, D.C. But since it's out there, preparations are being made to ensure security would be in place and all these sorts of things. It sounds like the White House is not entirely in favor of that. The Pentagon, our military department, initially expressed reservations, but they're in support, providing whatever resources might be needed. So everybody is waiting on Speaker Pelosi to confirm that, in fact, she would be going. If that happens, then everybody would be watching, and making sure that everything is handled appropriately, that security concerns are allayed, and it would be an expression of the U.S. Congress that the United States maintains support for the Taiwan Relations Act and really seeks that the differences between the government in Taiwan and certainly in Beijing resolve this peacefully without resorting to the use of force.
Einar Tangen, we saw in that statement put out by Beijing after the Xi-Biden call, saying those who play with fire will perish with that fire. We hope that the U.S. is clear-eyed about this. Beijing is indulging in a very high level of brinksmanship. How real are these threats if Pelosi's plane does come to Taiwan? Is it correct that the PLA Air Force intends to take it down, or at least accompany it into Taiwan, which would again lead to conflict and confrontation?
Well, I don't think they're going to take it out, but definitely there could be an escort given that Beijing sees this as China's airspace. But, I noticed my colleague in Washington didn't mention whether the U.S. was prepared for war, and I want to make it clear that China is. And what I mean by that is that no leader of China, nor the Communist Party of China, could afford to give away Taiwan. And this is exactly similar to Ukraine. The U.S. pushed into there despite, everybody that they should respect, Kissinger on down, including the current head of the CIA, who said that going into Ukraine would mean conflict. Going into Taiwan means conflict. So
but this is just a congressional visit. What's the big deal? It's not as if this is a military delegation that's going in, or they are sending their planes to take on the PLA. This is just a political delegation going to Taiwan. What's the big deal?
Well, you could say it's not a big deal, but if somebody adversed you, Pakistan was flying into Kashmir, I think the story would be entirely different. I mean, this is about areas of influence. The U.S. agreed in 1973 that there was only one China. Beijing's point of view is that this is being changed. The frequent, warships going up and down the Taiwan Straits, the war that's going on in terms of economics, everything from technology to goods to naming people to blacklists. This does not infer good intent. Biden has said we want to manage our conflicts, but that infers that there are going to be conflicts. Taiwan is not one of them. The U.S. wants to play it as a card, and Beijing is not willing to do that. They can't. So at this point, I'd love to hear from my colleague in Washington whether the U.S. is prepared for war.